Good afternoon. I'm Laura Zervos, and I'm a registered dietitian and licensed nutritionist, and I'm so happy to be here today to provide some of the nutrition content for Lending Hearts. And it's just a pleasure to be here. I love talking about all things food, all things good food and healthy food, and talking about how to fuel your body and how to fuel it through all the seasons of our life and all the seasons through the year. And I'm really excited about spring. I mean, of course, we all love summer vegetables, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, those things. But spring is so wonderful. It's just the promise of that start of the season. So I'm really excited to talk about that. And some of the things that we're going to be using today are some of those things that are available to us. When I think of spring, I think of red peppers, radishes, asparagus, carrots, snow peas, all those things that we see in primavera dishes. And primavera, what is that? The things of spring, the produce of spring. So really excited to do some of those things today, and to also introduce us to something that we haven't used too much, but I love using them, the microgreens. And we're going to talk a little bit about those. We have a lot to do today. We're going to make a soup. We're going to make a dish, a main dish, and we're going to make a few side dishes. So very excited to be here and to do this, and to talk about the health benefits of all the foods we're using. Again, all of these are part of a very healthy anti-inflammatory eating pattern, also known as the Mediterranean diet. Some people think, well, I don't like fish, I cannot do that. But there's a lot of other ways that we can incorporate the Mediterranean diet eating principles into our everyday patterns to reap the benefits of an anti-inflammatory pattern. So let's get started. And the main, I was talking about some of the vegetables that I'm excited about. One of my favorite vegetables, or I shouldn't say vegetables, but one of my favorite products of spring comes from the legume family, and peas. And this is, but we're going to be using a dry pea for this. I love using dried peas, really high in fiber. And we could talk about the nutritional content. I just rinsed them earlier. Now they're all stuck for me. But peas, if we look at the nutrition facts on the label of peas, we can see that, if we go by that 5-20 rule, the things that we want to reduce, less than 5% of the daily value, the things that we want to, those nutrients that we want to improve in our eating pattern, we want those to be 20% or higher. That's considered a good source. So the fiber content in 1 cup of these dried peas are 61% of our daily value. So very, packed with fiber, packed with all of those things that keep us happy and healthy. So let's get started. And this is super easy to do. First, we're just going to saute some of the vegetables that we have in here. So let's get started. All of these recipes will be on the website, and they will be available via Lending Hearts as well. So just going to add a little bit of olive oil to our stock pot. No sense in using two different pots and dirtying up. We could use that same stock pot to saute our vegetables and to also add our peas. And I'm just going to give our peas another little rinse so they just got a little dry on me here. Okay. Let's just get those. Want to make sure that we rinse them really well. You'll notice when you rinse them, you have a lot of starch on them, and there can be bugs. There's not usually bugs. There can be bugs on these legumes that come in a bag. Also, the quinoa that we use today, I also rinse that, and you'll see get a little bit of bubbling and starches and some other things. Then you'll see some things float to the top. You want to discard those. It's just some byproducts of processing. It could be some small insects too. So really important to do that. Really important to keep those things tightly sealed in our pantry, just to minimize any problems like that. So what we're going to do for our split pea soup is we're going to take equal parts onions, carrots, and celery, and we're going to saute that. So let's get started. We've got our onions and our carrots and our celery. And we're just going to give that a stir. And we're just going to keep stirring that. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. We don't want to brown them. We just want to soften them initially and bring out a little bit of the flavor. I'm also going to add some garlic to this. Like I said, we just want to bring out some of the to tender in this and along with the peas. The split peas, we made lentil soup a few classes ago, and do to soak beforehand, and they could cook fully in the cooking process. And you'll also see that this soup is going to get a little bit thicker as it cooks. This is just such a great soup for this time of year. It's a little bit comforting because we still have some cool weather, but it's a little on the light side as well. And then you have the beautiful color from the carrots. So super easy. And what I love about the legume family is that you could hide the brand name of this when they typically come in you could get them dried in a bag, you could get them canned. We're going to use another legume today, the black beans, that's going to go in our stuffed peppers, which I'm really excited about. But both of these are really fantastic sources of protein, fantastic sources of fiber, and low cost, and it's a really great plant-based protein if you're trying to incorporate more plant-based meals into your eating pattern. Beans, legumes, great way to do that. And some of these other seeds like the quinoa. So I'm just going to give that a stir. And I'll show you our pot here, so you can see it for yourself. We just have equal parts. And you could see already, I made sure that I did these in the food processor. So it would, oh, it smells so good. I did these in the food processor so they would be uniform and small. So they're all cooking nicely. So I'm just going to add some garlic to that. I have about 2 cloves of garlic that I chopped right before class. I'm just going to add that there and give that a stir and cook it a little longer. And then we're going to go ahead and add our peas that we have rinsed. So let's just get any excess water off of those. Even though we're going to be adding more water in stock, we don't want to. And I'll show you what they look like again. So dripping a little bit for me. So here's our split peas, beautiful green color. We do rinse them, and you could see they're going to, they're so small, they're about the same size as a lentil for comparison, and they will cook very nicely the whole time. They should be done before class. Our soup should be done. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and add that to our pot. And typically, very rarely will you have a recipe that doesn't call for the whole pound, unless of course you're making some type of maybe a 4-bean soup or something that's going to use several other kinds or a different kind of dish. Typically you're going to use that whole pound or whole can, or at least 2 whole cans of a product like that. So we're just going to give these a stir and make sure that it's all incorporated. And then we're going to add our stock. I have some chicken stock that's already heated, and I'm just going to go nice and slow. I have 6 cups in there. Give that a stir. And then I'm going to add, I have some, a little bit of salt, not much because there's a little bit in our broth, and some white pepper. I think white pepper, it really packs a punch. If you haven't tried it, you're not going to see it, but it is very strong, and it really adds a really good taste to our dishes. So add that in there. And we're just going to give that a stir. And once it comes to a boil, I'm going to cover it. But just let a beautiful dish for spring. You know, it pairs nicely on its own, or you could put it with a little sandwich, maybe a grown-up grilled cheese with some nice crusty bread and Gruyere cheese and like an olive tamponade. That would be lovely. But on its own, it's a great meal for lunch. It's so satisfying. I don't know about you, but I always feel like a warm lunch when I'm at the office is always welcomed. A little slice of home, and it's a little bit better than something cold. Sometimes we just need something to warm us up. So I'm just going to kick up this the heat a little bit, and we'll let that come to a boil. And then we're just going to let that simmer through class. I'm going to put the lid on. I'm just going to crack it a little bit just so it could reduce and thicken. So after it comes to a boil, we're going to do that. All right, so let's get ready. Let me move our prep and get ready for our next item. The next thing that we're going to prepare is our crab cakes. So, you know, crab, again, another wonderful protein. It can be on the pricier side. You have to watch for sales. This time of year, it goes on sale as a lot of people are embracing a meatless Friday for the Lenten season, for those that practice Lent. So anyhow, I have a pound of crab meat here. I have onions, peppers. I'm going to use panko seasoning today, or panko breadcrumbs. I like to use regular breadcrumbs. I like to make my own, but I thought, why not try some panko just for a little something different? And then we're going to add a little bit of the mustard, some dry mustard, a little bit of Old Bay seasoning, just to get that sea taste in there, and also an egg, some lemon juice, and a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. And then we're going to bake those instead of sauteing them, just because they are so delicate. The recipe that we're using, just don't want to be turning them and adding extra fat. We're just going to broil them or bake. I think we're going to bake them in the oven for probably 15 minutes around 400 degrees, so they lightly brown. So let's get started on that. We will saute our vegetables first. We have some green pepper and some red pepper and some green onions. So I'm just going to saute those. Have a little bit of oil over here. So do that. Add my onions. And then we're going to mix that all together and form that into some patties. Okay, and let's add a little bit more oil to that. All right, so we'll just saute that lightly. And again, we're just trying to enhance the flavor of that red pepper and the onion. So some recipes, you may find that they're adding the raw ingredients to crab cakes, to salmon patties, to some of these other things. But sometimes when we saute them, we bring out that flavor. They're only going to be in the oven for 15 minutes baking. Our crab has been pasteurized, so theoretically it's fully cooked. We are adding an egg, so that egg has to come to temperature. So those vegetables really aren't going to have enough time to burst. So if we cook them a little bit ahead of time and to pre-cook them, then they'll all come together in our crab cake. So let me also get a nice bowl to mix that in. Okay, so we have that ready, and just saute those a little longer. We're going to mix all this together, and that's really all it needed. Like I said, I had made them really small, so it shouldn't take too long. So let's go ahead and prepare our crab cake, and I'm going to adjust my camera so you can see everything. Move our mise en place, and let me just give you a peek at our mise en place, and that is everything that's going in, and that is our serving dish. So don't peek ahead too far. Out here. Okay, so we're going to take our bowl I've got a nice glass bowl here so you could see everything. And we're going to add our pound of crab here. And we're going to add just a tiny bit of mayonnaise. And I'm using a reduced fat, just a small amount, just to help bind. Okay. And we're going to add our egg. We're going to add our spices. We're going to add our breadcrumbs. And we're also going to add, and this is really one of the key ingredients, is our lemon juice. So let's get that all. And that was 1 egg. That was a half cup of our breadcrumbs. And that was about 2 ounces or a quarter cup of fresh lemon juice. And we're just going to give that a stir. We had that egg, and like I said, that egg is really the big thing. And let's add our nice sauteed vegetables. Add a lot of color and taste too. You could use green peppers, but I just think red peppers go so nicely with crab. Okay, so let's give that a little stir. It's a little bit wet, so let's add just a little bit more of our breadcrumb. To dry it up, and you could use breadcrumbs, you could use bread, anything that you have on hand would work. And I'm going to, I hear our soup boiling. So I'm going to give it a stir. And like I said, we're just going to crack the lid and allow that to reduce. So what happens is if we leave our lid on, what's going to happen? Steam's going to come up, go back down the bowl. You know, you're going to have that convection movement in there. If we crack the lid a little bit, some of that is going to escape. Some of the liquid is going to escape. We're going to turn down our heat. We just want to do a nice little simmer. So some of that liquid will escape, and it's going to just concentrate what's left. So we don't want to keep that lid cracked the whole time, but we're going to keep it cracked at least in the beginning, just to get that started, just to get that reduction. And that's really going to concentrate the flavor. Okay, so our crab cake mixture looks really good. Just let's see. Yeah, you're just going to want it to be able to come together like that. That's perfect. And I like to use a something that is consistent, so we have equal portions. I have a few soup sizes here. So let me show you what our crab mixture looks like. That's our crab cake mixture. And I'm just going to set this aside. And I'm going to, I have a bakeware dish that I put some parchment in there, and we're just going to, let's make smaller ones. And then we'll see what we look like here. So I'm going to first just portion them out. Just so we have, because whenever we're figuring out, when I give you recipes, what I like to do is I put in the entire the entire recipe. If this is like, we have a pound of crab meat in here, I put in a pound of crab meat. I put the amount of breadcrumbs that we're using. I put the salt and pepper. Everything that we are using today is in the recipe. And then I divide that. So we have the whole, looks like we're gonna use all here. We have the whole recipe. And let's see here. One thing we could either do is we could also, that one looks a little heavy-handed there. But we have this, we know, no, it's not an exact science, but it's pretty close. We're going to at least say when we do this recipe that there was 3, 6, 9, 12 servings. And if anyone, I mean, we could go ahead and weigh these to make them a little bit more accurate. Weighing is always more accurate, but for our purposes today, this will be fine. We're just going to form into a patty and push them down. I'm not going to touch them too much. We want, and we could add more breadcrumbs to make them a firmer patty. You could also refrigerate these if you wanted to saute them instead, if you wanted a sauteed product. But I like doing it like this because the baking allows for a nice uniform product. Okay, that looks beautiful. So we have 12 pretty equal portions. So we know our nutritional information. Okay. And we're just going to give them a little push. All the seasoning is already inside there. They look fantastic. And now I'm just going to rub just a small amount. I have a pastry brush and I'm just going to put a small amount of olive oil on them just so they could brown nicely. And we'll just a little pat. And I just put in enough olive oil to for this procedure. We're not going, I have my pastry brush in here since I am touching the crab cakes. I'll discard this when I'm done, or I will use it for sauteing something else with this today. We did have raw egg in here, so we want to make sure that we don't use this on anything uncooked. Oh, these look so good. In there. Okay, so everybody's got a nice little dollop of oil on them so they get brown very well, and we're going to get those into the oven. I'm going to do a higher oven just so they get brown. So we're probably going to do about 400 for about, we'll check it in 10, maybe give them a turn and then put them in for another 5. So I'm going to set my timer and we'll check on those. Also check on our soup. Just a nice little simmer. It's just a nice little bubble. Nothing crazy over there. Just a nice little simmer. You shouldn't see, it's not going to catch for us. So let's put our prep aside for our crab cakes. And we'll talk about how we're going to serve those. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a few of our vegetables. So let's start there. And we're just going to roast these. I just thought this might go nicely with our crab cakes. And we are going to use some carrots that I've already peeled before class, and I kept the stems on them because they were so pretty. And I tried to get the smallest carrots that I could and just leave them whole and peeled them really well. You can see I didn't take off the ends at all, but that just makes a really nice presentation on our plate later. We're just going to put a little olive oil on them and get them nice and coated. And then when they come out, we're going to do something special with them. So let's get those in the oven. Again, just a small amount of olive oil. I will show you, just have them on a little pan. We're going into our oven with some other things. They shouldn't take too long, and we'll check on that shortly. And if you have any questions, let me know. Again, all these recipes will be on there. And we definitely want to roast those vegetables on a higher temperature because we don't want them to be mushy. We want them to get nice and browned and caramelized, release the flavor, and be tender on the inside. So crisp to the bite, tender on the inside, and not overcooked, not undercooked. So important to remember. So let's just clear our crab off here, and then we're going to look at another spring vegetable. And this is one of my favorites. These really came, they've been around for a long time. They were very popular in the 1990s, and I just love having them. They're just so tender and just so bursting with flavor. You see them in they could be in a lot of stir fries, a lot of soups, but they're great on their own as well. So what am I talking about? The snow pea. So snow peas, I have probably about a pound here. We're just going to saute them just like here, but I don't know if you could see these little bumps in here. There's a little tiny peas in there. So, spring's just the time for these baby vegetables. So what we do is we just pop off the top there, break off the point, and then we slide this down. So look, all that. That's nothing. I'll put that here so you can see it. We don't want to eat this. This is like eating some dental floss. So we're going to remove that. And then if I'm going to show you on this, our little sample here, our sample pea. Break it in half. Did you hear that? That snap of freshness. Look at these little peas in here. Let's look at those. Just do that so you can see. And they are just very, very tender, really yummy. So we're just going to do that with a few of them. I did most of them before class. We're just going to peel like this. Well, look at that. Put in front of my shirt so you could see. So yes, nobody wants to eat one of these, eat all of the strings. So we're just going to remove them, and it doesn't take too long. So like I said, I did most of them before class. We'll just do a couple more, but we're just going to saute these. This is just going to be a little side dish to our crab. But again, very nice in stir fries, nice on their own, nice with rice, quinoa, farro. Make sure you don't waste too much of the vegetable though, too. And I have some over here already done. So yes, springtime is when a lot of these vegetables, and another vegetable that we're going to be doing today is the microgreen. And the microgreen, it is not a vegetable on its own. It is the small plant, only 7 to 14 after we plant microgreen seeds. And I think I'd like to do that for our next class so you see how they're grown. After 7 to 14 days, there'll be one leaf, and before it gets that next little bud on the bottom, that's when we harvest them. It's about 7, it could be 14 days, it could be as long as 21 days. And they are from, here are crab cakes in there. They are, you could do microgreens from radishes, from kale, from broccoli. One of my favorites are sunflower microgreens. They're just so nutty and bursting with flavor. So today, instead of serving our crab cake on arugula, which I also love, I love just a simple arugula on the plate with a little bit of olive oil and fresh cracked pepper, and then even just maybe just one little drizzle of balsamic vinegar, and then have your crab patty on there. Oh, it's so wonderful. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to use the microgreens. So let's take a little bit of time and talk about the microgreens. Actually, let's get our saute our snow peas. And I have just a little bit of olive oil in here. Just a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of sesame oil. Grab a little bit more here. I'm just going to saute them lightly. They don't need very long. We're just going to saute them and then bring those out. But we really need to get working on our other dish. let me just peel a few more. And then we'll talk about the microgreens. Our other dish that we want to make today, and I have to get cracking because it needs to go in the oven, is a stuffed pepper, and it's stuffed with a red quinoa, which is a little, we haven't used red quinoa in class yet. It's a little bit heartier, and it has a little bit more to offer than the white quinoa. It's less processed, and we're just gonna let those saute a little bit. And I'm going to check on our crab cakes. So let me just check and make sure that they're coming along well. And I'm going to trade places with the carrots. Okay. All right, and then we have our cookies here. I'm gonna give those a stir. And I didn't know. Some of them might have had a little bit of water in there. Okay, so got our crab cakes in there. Let's start on our stuffed peppers. So let's move our vegetables back here, and we'll start on our stuffed peppers. And this is just a really great meatless. My goodness, our snow peas are so loud. So just give them a stir, and it really doesn't take that long. So, and you see how beautiful they are. And it doesn't take long to get them pork tender. And that's what we're shooting for. I'm just going to turn the heat down there, so since I don't have since we're working on our next item. So let's get that started. The next one is a stuffed pepper, and we're going to stuff it with quinoa, a red quinoa, black beans, chilies, and onions, and garlic and green onions. So we're also going to do some sauteing, a lot of sauteing today. Some days we do a lot of sauteing, some days we do none. And let's get that other, where's my other dish that we wanted to use? We might have to use this one. I thought we had our other one ready to go. I must have used it for our earlier dish, so we'll just get that clean. Okay. All right, that's ready to go. And I have our olive oil. So we're going to do olive oil, and we're going to do the onion, the garlic, and the green onion, the scallion. And that was about a half cup of chopped yellow onion, 2 cloves of garlic, and about a 1/4 cup of the scallions. So we will get those here. I'm just going to move my snow peas over. They're really done pretty much. Get these in here. Give those a little. Again, this is the everything. We already have our pepper cooked for the stuffed peppers, and I'll tell you why. Because since we're not using a meat product in here. Sometimes when you're making a stuffed pepper that has a protein in it, like beef or turkey, sometimes that is not cooked. But this is, we already have our quinoa cooked, so I didn't want to have the pepper be too hard. So I just roasted these in a 400-degree oven, rubbed them with a little bit of olive oil, and they probably were in there for 9 to 10 minutes. So now I took the liberty before class of cooking the quinoa. This is 2 cups of cooked quinoa. So we're going to put one 1/2 cup in each of these. That's what it'll work out to be. But we're also going to add some other things. So let me just check on our onion. Again, we just want to get this fragrant. We're not going to brown it, just soften it. And I'm going to give our split peas a stir. And that's coming along very nicely. A word about the split pea soup too. You'll notice sometimes if you don't rinse it off, if you could have rinsed more rather, you'll see on the top of the stock pot where your soup is cooking, you'll see like a little bit of a foam there. That's just a starch, and or some people call it scum, not a nice name, but you could just skim that right off the top and discard it. Just so your product is consistent. So looking at that, we barely have any on ours, and that's because we rinsed those peas several times. I also rinsed our quinoa several times today before cooking it. And remember, quinoa cooks at a ratio of 2 to 1. You could start that in cold water. And usually after you bring it to a boil, you're going to want to cover that. Now you can cook that in chicken broth or beef broth or vegetable broth. Today I just did water because I have a lot of other spices going on, and we're going to add those now as soon as we add our sauteed vegetables. So let's take a peek at them, see how they're doing. And again, just so fragrant. Okay. So let's turn that down. Oh my goodness, this garlic and the onion smells so wonderful. Okay, so we're going to add that. Let me adjust the camera so you can see what I'm adding to our quinoa. We're just going to add the onions, the scallions, and the garlic. Very fragrant. Again, not browned, not bitter, just translucent and soft. Okay, we're getting all of that in there. All right, we're also going to add to this, and I've already drained this one time. We have some chilies that we're going to add. Get our, let me see where our other utensil was here. And we're just going to add, not going to add quite a can, might be overpowering, just probably about 2. And we're going to add 1 can of black beans, also rinsed. And I have here some cumin, just to give it that nice taste that we're looking for. And just give that a stir. And I hear my snow peas back here going crazy. We got a large onion, somehow got through there. Get that removed. All right. So we're going to, again, we want to have equal portions. So we'll use this. Let me check on our crab cakes. Everything to the side here. They are cooking very nicely. I think we're going to give them a little turn. And they're very nice here. Perfect. You see how delicate they are, how delicate I'm treating them. They are staying formed. We didn't use too much binder. They smell wonderful. That'll give the other chance to get a nice little brown on it. Push that back together. These ones on the end are just a little bit harder to turn. Okay. And again, we could have made these larger. We could have just made 4 larger ones or 6 larger ones, but I was just going for a smaller one. It's nice you could have 2, or these could be, you can make them even smaller for appetizers, more like a crab puff. And I have my carrots on there. And just put those in here for a little longer. And we have our snow peas going and our split pea soup. Split peas just coming along real nicely. That looks beautiful. All right. Okay, so let's get our pepper stuff. So like as I was saying, we have our filling here. It should make 4. So let's try to get, and we have 4 peppers. So 4 equal servings. Let's try to get our scoop and 1. Actually, this might make, might want to do, maybe we have enough for 6 peppers, 6 pepper halves. And the other thing is I used pepper halves. You could use the whole pepper, cut off the top of the pepper, remove all the seeds. And we're just going to put that in like that. And we have our last one here. So then we're going to go through. Just going to even this one out. This one was just a little bit sparse there. But otherwise, those are equal. And I'm going to make another 2 peppers because it looks like I'm going to get another 2 scoops out of there. So let's just reserve that. And that is no problem. We have lots of peppers. I only just wanted to do a small amount for a class today. So on top of those, what we're going to do is we're just going to a little bit of cheese. You could use your cheese of choice. You could use a nut-based cheese too, if you would like to keep this vegan. But we're just adding a little bit for flavor here. Okay, and I had 4 tablespoons of cheese there, just trying to get each one in. So let's pop those in the oven. And I'm just checking on our carrots. Take our carrots out. And I'll show you how those look. Okay. Make sure everybody gets equal time on the top of the bottom of the oven. So how are we going to check our carrots? We're just going to see, okay, a little bit more, almost work tender here, but that would say they're about halfway done. So at this point, I'm going to put a little sprig, some tarragon on these. Just let that, and if you haven't used tarragon, it's just wonderful. We see tarragon a lot with carrots. We see a tarragon reduction added to a hollandaise to make that béarnaise sauce that we like so much on some of our meats. So tarragon is just nice and versatile. And we already have enough oil on these, just to sprinkle that out of there for the for our tarragon. And we'll get that back in the oven. Okay. All right, so let's start talking about our plating, what we're going to do here. So what I did with, let's just do, sorry about that. Don't want to cause any issues there, but here we have our microgreen. This is what I was talking about. So the microgreen, you'll see usually just 2 leaves on them. And that's when they're harvested, just 2 leaves. So microgreens are from, like I said, they could be from sunflowers, they could be from beets, kale, broccoli. I've seen so many different types. Radishes are a big one. So it's fun it's fun to actually use some of these spring vegetables like the radish and mix them in there. And like I said, this would be lovely with arugula, but this is also nice with microgreens. We're going to serve our crab cake on here. And let's just set this aside, and we'll also put a nice little lemon slice on there. Wedge. Okay, and then that is also going to be, I always like to garnish with something that has to do with the dish. And this, the lemon is not only good for the seafood and for fish, but it was in the ingredient. It was actually in what we had prepared. So always nice to have a little, a nod to whatever the preparation was. So let's set that aside, and we're going to take a peek at our soup. But the great thing about microgreens, to just tell you a little bit more about microgreens. So again, they're harvested 7 to 14 days, as late as 21 days, usually have the 2 leaves. They are smaller. Sometimes you hear baby carrots or baby vegetables. Micro is smaller than baby, as you might have guessed. So what is so wonderful about microgreens? Since everything is in, that has all the potential that the plant would actually have. So that has all of the potential that kale would have, that broccoli would have, that a radish would have, that a sunflower would have. But it's all in this little plant right here. So it would be that whole plant, right? But everything is concentrated in here. So they're very, very nutrient dense. So again, you just want to serve them very simple. They're typically eaten raw. They would be very nice addition to, like, if you were making a protein shake or some type of smoothie. And if you're using kale or spinach, you might want to substitute those with microgreens, because it's just so nutrient dense and so packed with the phytonutrients and antioxidants that would be found in the mature plant, but just at a concentrated level, if you will. So thought next time we could look at how those are grown typically. And they have, oh my goodness, these snow peas, just let them saute for a little bit. They smell wonderful. We're just gonna put them on our serving dish. And then we'll take out our carrots. Put our carrots on there as well. So just a few ideas for spring vegetables. And let's take out our soup and talk about split peas some more. So again, we have our snow peas, just a little bit brown, just to bring out that flavor. And they smell so smell wonderful. Okay, and again, they could be eaten as a side dish, just as the vegetable side dish. Also, could you imagine if you had some pearl onions or some red peppers with those sauteed? Wonderful combination there. Also, you could saute the radishes in there for a little bit of a bite. You'll see them a lot in Asian dishes, with maybe some teriyaki sauce, or sauteing them in some sesame oil would be very nice as well, just to add that additional level of flavor. They really accept anything, but very different from the snap pea. The snap one is a little bit bigger. Those are also harvested in the spring, and you'll see the baby peas in there as well. So all kinds of goodness this in spring before summer gets here, and we get a whole nother set of fruits and vegetables. So let me get out our crab cakes. I believe those will be done. And our carrots are done. Our carrots are done. So just carrots with a little bit of tarragon. So let's add them to our vegetable plate here. And then we'll take out this tarragon just really, really is nice addition. And you don't want to put that tarragon in there the whole time that you're cooking these. But you do want it when it becomes fragrant. You see, it's not, we didn't char it. It's still nice and green, still pliable, but it's going to give a lot of flavor here. And you could also put fresh on there too, but sauteing it just really brings out the flavor. And get, like I said, when you're making that béarnaise for the, for like maybe a cut of meat, it's gonna be this tarragon reduction, which is really tarragon sauteed, and you probably going to put a little bit of sherry or some white wine in there as well, and then you get that into your hollandaise, and it's just going to add such wonderful flavor. So let's take a peek. Let's set this aside, and we'll check on our crab cakes. And we're just going to, for safety's sake, take the temperature there. Okay, we have our timer on still. And I always like to check, I mean, yes, we said that we knew that the egg wasn't cooked, but we still want to make sure that it's cooked. That's 150, 174, right? So we know that we are out of that temperature danger zone of 40 to 140. So these should be just perfect. Yep, they're all good. If this was only in the 90s or the 120s, I would remove it from the item, and then I would wipe this down with an alcohol pad. I will wipe this down with an alcohol pad before I test another product, because it's important that you don't want to have any cross contamination. So let's take that out of there. Let's take one of our crab cakes out and put it on our dish, since it looks so beautiful. Let's see here. How beautiful that looks. Just we have our little microgreens, and I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on here, just a drizzle, and we could even do a drizzle of balsamic, but doesn't that look wonderful? Okay, and let's just move this out of the way, and we'll take a peek at our soup, and then our peppers should be done by that time. Okay, so let's take a peek at our soup. Looks very, very good. Take it off there, and you could see our peak. So you could see how it has reduced. And you see how the liquid has changed. It's that nice green liquid there. So it's not just water anymore. And you could taste it now. If everything's not tender, if you feel like it's not soup yet, we could always wait a little longer. But let's get this into a soup bowl. Again, just a beautiful, all the colors of spring. I just love this. How beautiful that is. This safely. All right, and now we can check on our peppers, take those out. Oh, and let's see if we have everything ready here. I thought I had an alcohol pad handy. And I don't. So we will just, everything is cooked in here, but we will just check on them anyhow, see how what they are. Okay, oh, they look wonderful, and they're nicely browned. So we have our stuffed peppers there, quinoa, black rice, chilies, cumin. That's going to be wonderful. And you can see how nicely that has stayed together. It's a nice product. So we have, let's move all of our tools for this tools aside. Have our soup. We have our vegetables. And we have our crab cakes. So everything looks really, really good. Wish you were here to smell and taste everything. I could see, I am gonna taste that split pea soup for us. And see if I can get a tiny taste and see if it is in fact, so you could see how the broth is kind of nice already. So, and the peas do look soft. And look, we cut our vegetables. You mash them against the side, they are mashing, they're nice and tender. So let's just take a little taste. Mmm. Oh, what great taste. I am gonna continue to cook it a little bit longer. The peas are just a little bit firm to the bite. I think people might like them. Not hard by any means and not like an uncooked pasta in the center at all. But very, very nice. Just a little bit of a bite to it. Turn off our timer. Let's taste a snow pea. Let's go for a small one here. I don't know if you could hear that, but just a small amount of crunch. You want to cook your vegetables al dente, and today we did all fresh vegetables, all al dente. That's when they have the most nutrition. You don't want to lose all that nutrition. Just cook it till it's nice and firm to the bite. Really tasty. We have our crab cakes. You know, again, we have that with the microgreens and the radishes, and just a really nice way to serve things. Sometimes we typically think, oh, we have to serve this on a starch. I have seen recently some recipes where they are putting meatballs on top of arugula and serving it that way. So don't be afraid to try some new things there instead of the processed pastas and those things. Of course, there's a lot of great pastas out there, but I'm talking about the ones made with refined flour. We want to avoid those or limit our portion size. But anyhow, just a great way to increase that fruit and vegetable intake, trying to get 5 servings a day of combined fruits and vegetables. Emphasis on vegetables. They do have that lower carbohydrate content. They are typically lower in the glycemic index and great source of fiber and phytonutrients. Remember that serving, the recommended serving for fiber is 25 to 35 grams per day. Women are on that lower end of 25, men are closer to 35. And just to tell you, 1 cup of our peas gave us, actually it's a little bit less than that, 1/2 cup gave us 17 grams of fiber. So if I'm trying to get 25, here's 17. That was a really shortcut to getting those. So the legumes can be our friend and really a great way to get that fiber in. That fiber just keeps us happy and healthy. It keeps our gut diverse. It, the soluble one and insoluble, that combination of both of those really help to keep our gut healthy and to keep us happy. So again, thank you so much for joining me. It was so much fun to be here with you. Remember to include all the vegetables of every season so you can stay on the path to wellness. Thanks again. All the recipes will be on the site on Lending Hearts. So please email me or contact me if you have any questions or you want to make a modification. I'd be happy to do that for you. Maybe you don't like quinoa. Maybe we want to do farro or brown rice. We could certainly make all of those accommodations. So thank you and have a wonderful spring.